the men, the stars, your voice. Open your eyes.
Good on me. Bobo, can you take back? I think he's having. Test, 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 test.
Oh, so yeah, testing's been underway now for a week with the 4.0 release. We've been minting assets successfully. And everything is going quite well. We've got a few more improvements we have to lay down to the underlying code base, but so far, so good. It would be good if more of the community wants to test it out and give it a spin. So I'm super salivating. I was eating like some salt and vinegar crisps, full disclosure, just before coming online, and they're really tasty. But yeah, so testing is going really well. We'd love like more adoption from the community, just to make sure that there's nothing hidden there that we haven't found ourselves. We'll stand a better chance with community testing. But yeah, really happy and thankful for the community that have taken part and joined in. Obviously, one of the things that's come up is scaling issues with some of the input forms on some of the GUI views within the core wallet. So we're looking to resolve those already. Due to obviously being on testnet and some code not being fully deployed, some people are seeing a false positive issue on the right-hand side, and errors appearing, saying that unknown blocks are being mined. That's just down to consensus code that we haven't finished. But for the main release, obviously, all those messages will disappear. And obviously, we're still trying to see if there are any other things that we can slip in that we've talked to you about before with regards to either blockchain loading speed or seeing if there are any other small improvements. As Bobichar just mentioned, we are obviously doing the incremental release plan. So obviously we're going to try and get wave unwrapping done, add the pool picker in at some point. And obviously we're still looking into developing other wallets for like mobile and iOS. So there's a lot of stuff going on. But I should also say that we're still in need of some C++ developers. So again, if you're interested in giving a bit of time every week, or you know somebody else that loves crypto, wants to get involved with the project and help contribute towards the community, we're taking applications, and that will certainly help speed up the development and have extra pairs of eyes for validation, etc. So yeah, that's where we're currently at with the 4.0 wallet. In terms of development testing, we're still probably going on for another week or two. And depending on how final testing goes, we might be looking to releasing, but that's still for discussion.
Yeah, no one is asking me anything. No invitas a future for team member.
Yeah, so yeah, that's right. So obviously, because Wrapped Avian is already using a network that's supported by those hardware wallets, it is possible to obviously store the Wrapped Avian as well. And in terms of the standard blockchain that we've got going on, I'm currently working on some code which is in our GitHub repository. So hopefully enable third-party support for normal Avian coins, so non-wrapped coins. Something we're going to be feeding some updates to you once we've got this main cool wallet update out of the way. So that's where our focus is at the moment.
Can you guys hear me? It's all good. All right. There was a question you asked me before that about the website, so I'm gonna start off with that. In terms of the website, last week we talked about migrating it over. The migration is fully complete. We have like fully started building on Editor X. Our WordPress website is up, but the first priority is moving content that's extremely important for the project from that website over onto Editor X, and that's currently what we're working on. So far, last week I think we talked about having three pages: the blog, the shop, and the homepage. The homepage would only have the white paper because we personally believe that the white paper is the only official piece of document right now at Avian that has the most accurate information about the project. Um, and that's one. That page is almost complete. It just needs a few more sections. I did share a sneak peek of the homepage on Twitter if you guys follow us there. I'll be sharing more throughout the week. If you guys can go ahead and follow us there on Twitter, that's Avian Foundation on Twitter. I'll try to put those updates on Discord as well. In terms of the blog, the page is up, and Hexroot will be our lead blog editor. He's currently working on a few posts that we can kind of create like a backlog of content that we can post when the website does go up. So the blog page is not only designed and completed, we're just working on the content now. In terms of shop, we're still working a few things down. We need to get like shipping and payments connected. But in terms of connecting Printful and the items into the merch store, pretty much everything is complete. Um, when the website does go live, we'll be selling the 500 limited t-shirts, and they'll most likely be on sale when the website goes on and when the website is live. There'll be three other products that go with that specific t-shirt. That t-shirt will only have 500 pieces, and once that's sold, the listing will just automatically lock up. But the other items, there's gonna be well, I guess I can talk about it today. I'll share some pictures throughout the week. There's gonna be a dad hat. It's a black and white dad hat. There's gonna be a black and white mug, and there's also going to be a colored artwork avian poster. Um, There's some other pages we did work on. The wrapped avian page was updated on this newer version of the website as well. The form looks a lot cleaner, and it's if you had used the wrapping on the previous website, you might have noticed that it crops off a little bit. And doesn't fill up the screen, and it's not as responsive. Hopefully, this version of the website will kind of integrate better with that form that we have set up for wrapping. And when we have unwrapping, hopefully we can get that set up on the website too. The last page that we kind of started working on yesterday, actually, it was an idea we came up with about like after last AMA, but I didn't really get to working on it. So Trav and I kind of worked on setting up an AMA archive. It's like an AMA time machine almost. So it's gonna be like one of the main pages on our website. It's gonna be an entire database, almost like how you would read blogs and get a whole backlog or like a whole catalog of like blog posts. You're gonna be able to go in and scroll through and rewatch all the past AMAs. We're working on getting subtitles on the AMAs. There's also going to be highlights under each video, going over all the questions we spoke about and kind of giving you a brief update on each of them. So if you don't want to watch the video, the entire AMA, you can read just the highlights, and that will all be in one place, and that'll be on the website. And so this newer version of the website, we're not only just trying to have it better represent the brand, and what we're trying to achieve here at Avian as a community and as a team, but it's just I'm trying to better organize information so that everything that you need to know about Avian can be found in one place and it can be used and accessed pretty easily. I'll share screenshots on that too. And for all of you that have noticed, um, Bubble Trav, he's hosting the AMA today and he's our official AMA manager. He's working on uh, managing YouTube and Twitch and getting content from each platform onto the other, updating descriptions, titles. I'll work with him on thumbnails. He'll make sure all the content is updated on the website and that there's a hub where we can go and find that information. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all for the website. We are also working on an email list that will go hand in hand with the AMA time machine or the AMA Foundry. So every time there's an update to that, we can send you an email. Every time we have a new blog post, we can send you an email. Every time there's an update or a new milestone or updates on fundraising or beta testing or about new partners being onboarded or new items on the merch store, job postings, and much more. We can share all that through our email list, and we've decided to call that flight status, Avian flight status. When the new website does go on, you'll be able to sign up to that, um, and so I'm excited for that too. And in terms of next question, fundraising, I had PayPal open here, and we had raised about we're sitting at $180 there. Um, I have not opened up the portals to check on all the chains, so I'm gonna do that live with you guys right now. Let's go into announcements. I'm gonna open up all the chains and do a quick tally. All right, that's 180 on PayPal. And we have on this section here nothing on Genesis right now. We have 171 on Matic. We have $152 on Binance. We have nothing on Avalanche, and we are sitting at $70 on Tron. The total comes up to $403 that is currently remaining. We have used 170 for the website migration. That would put us at a total of $573. We need an average of about 3,000 for the major listings and marketing deals with these exchanges. So we have a long way to go. We are working fast. We are heavy on the website, and hoping to get it up in the next couple weeks to a month. If that is possible, that merch sale. If you're listening, if you'd like to purchase one of those t-shirts, normally would help us raise for exchange listings, it's limited clothing, and I think I'm pretty excited to get that up too. There's gonna be three other items, so in total we'll be launching one of them will be limited, and will help us raise about $5,000 if we completely sell out, and the other three items will always be on, so they'll continue to raise money. That's all pretty much from that update for websites, and I'm gonna pass it back on to Trav.
Yeah, sure. So, obviously we've had the proposal. We've had the proposal. It's quite a cool thing to do. To answer your question directly, no, 4.0 will be a direct download. Maybe in the 4.0 branch system, we might start thinking about providing an auto update. We just have to be careful again. Around security and to make sure that you always get official Avian wallet, that we don't open the door to abuse people getting their wallets or funds stolen. So that's the kind of main reason we've avoided it so far. But we are looking into a separate distribution method, just in case we can't find a secure enough way of doing it.
Someone did ask about nodes, and if you do have time for that, I would be willing to take that question. I'll bring a piece of paper out, so I can get this more organized. I'm hoping you all can hear me, so you can clip this and use this everywhere, and take it slow and easy and walk through everything. I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but I haven't had the time to touch on it again. And in terms of nodes, we have thought about it. We have been thinking about it. It's been months. There's just some other things that we do need to get in order. We are working on migrating the new website. Wallet 4.0, unwrapping is huge. That's something we need to figure out because we have people's money to unlock, and so we're working on that. And that is our priority. Nodes and testing out the 4.0 wallet is also a priority to make sure that we release something that's safe. We don't have the same problems we had in the past. In terms of nodes, we have thought about it. I wouldn't say it's near future, but it is something we are thinking about this year. That's the goal. There are a few things I want to talk about in terms of nodes. We have to talk about nodes and the rewards it provides, and the difference between staking. Because a lot of people come into our community asking if we're going to implement staking or nodes, and a lot of people, when we do say we have thought about implementing seem hesitant about it because they often confuse it with staking, and often call them and refer to nodes as staking. The other thing that we did talk about as a team is what would make sense if we were to consider if we were to consider having nodes. A lot of people have also reached out to us in the past, usually seem the most hesitant about nodes because of the emissions, the worry for most people in terms of emissions, make it easier to collect avian coins, and that takes the value away from the miners. That's a concern that we've heard from people. The other concern we've also heard is giving whales an opportunity to kind of buy passive income, and when we give them that option, they usually see inaccessibility, and we see whales kind of sitting on nodes and passive income and rewarding from that emission that we have set up, or other node projects have set up, and that's also something that we wanted to talk about. Yields in terms of how much they're rewarding you, and yields whether it is incentivizing whales into the project or not. In terms of yields, we will expand on these topics. I'm just listing them out so we can understand what we're going to speak about. In terms of yields, we did talk. I kind of had a spreadsheet that we kind of went over some emission schedules. I tried different models. I tried a 10-year model. I tried a 10-year model. A 20-year model. And for everyone that doesn't know, Avian is currently. I'm going to open the calculator here. for nodes so that I can give you guys the best information. Just a second here. Paper. Just a couple more minutes here. I have the white paper opening up on this side. I have my spreadsheet opening up on this side with the yield side with the yield so I can give you some information. All right. So in terms of yields, we tested two different models. I had a model for a 12-year emission, and I had a model for a 24-year emission. I'll explain exactly why. I tested them both, the mindset and the thought behind them, so that we can discuss it as a community. The other thing I want to talk about is the complexity behind nodes, and the considerations of what types of nodes we need to implement into the network to have the best results, and to make sure we're not just implementing something that just rewards people without benefiting the network. I think in terms of nodes, those are in general the four subjects that I would like to talk about, because this is what we've considered in the last couple months. We haven't gone any further than this. I want to talk about the difference between nodes and staking and the need to make that more known. That difference known. I want to talk about yields. What the yields be between schedule, how long the schedule would be, and addressing the concern that people have for whales. And the last one would be when you really start considering how to implement nodes onto Avian, because we start talking about what kind of nodes does the network really need. So and from the beginning, if I was to say nodes and staking, I've invested in a couple different projects. You have Cardano staking, multiple other projects you can stake on Exodus, you can stake on Coinbase, and many other projects, anywhere between 2% on Coinbase to like 3, 4, maybe 6% on some of the cryptocurrencies on Coinbase. If you're in DeFi, not in centralized exchanges, you're making a lot higher percentages, but that does come with higher risk. You're talking percentages, double digit, from 10 to 99%. We've seen high risk projects, triple digit percentages from 100% to 99%. There's even projects making 4-digit percentages, which doesn't truly make sense. And in the long run doesn't add up. I'm talking about projects like Wonderland or Olympus DAO, or what other ones we have here. Rome DAO. Basically, they're DAO-based projects that we've seen in the last 6 to 8 months, and they offer yields in the thousands of percentages. And a lot of people double-digit yields, or even triple-digit yields, and it seems attractive. Inflation and the devaluation of that currency is substantial, and that's something that we will have to consider. What kind of strategy we're looking to take. For all of you that do not know, I have the white paper here. If you guys want to read and check it out, it is out on our website. That's www.a.network. It's on the home page. And you can just click it, and it's 56 pages, and we talk about a lot of tokenomics, network fees, and how we plan to implement how we vision the future of digital assets in this digital world, how we plan to functionality into these assets, and hopefully have an ecosystem that's home for cross-chain and affordable minting, and affordable digital assets. A lot of people like that is the greater picture, and a lot of things have to be in place. Things have to be in place. Wallets, in terms of some ecosystems, some ecosystems to be built around it to kind of facilitate. And nodes is a huge part of it. A lot of people, over the last couple of months, have been coming into the project asking about nodes, or they are simply asking about yields, or about making passive income, staking. We have clarified before that we don't intend on implementing staking of stake because we are a proof of work, and implementing both consensus mechanism would make it a true hybrid, and that's blockchain. Something that we are not because we don't think it's necessary to achieve this vision. Certain things are necessary to achieve the vision, including the community, and giving them more accessible ways to earn Avian. It doesn't require them to invest thousands or hardware like CPU and GPU mining. A lot of people might not necessarily have the technical know-how of how to do that. Nodes are a lot simpler to set up. Usually can be a lot cheaper to set up. And so that's something we will talk about. That's something we will talk about in accessibility. But we'll not get to that right now. In terms of generally speaking about differences of nodes and staking and proof of stake are two separate consensus mechanism. If you do not know the differences, I urge you to look them up. And then look up the difference between proof of staking and your coins within a node. In proof of stake, that is a mechanism that is used to verify these transactions. Whereas staking in a node isn't the reason why you stake. Where you stake kind of initiate and kind of reward you based on what you are backing the network with. It isn't necessarily the mechanism to verify transactions. Because even if we do have nodes, our primary system will be proof of work. We're not going to be a hybrid proof of stake, which is oftentimes what is that called? What is a hybrid? The hybrid blockchain is often known as proof of work. Flip my mind right here. I completely forgot about it at the moment. What is let me get that here. If I'm not mistaken, proof of stake and combined, that hybrid mechanism is called proof of activity. POA. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not the most knowledgeable about proof of activity, but I know there are certain complications. Other networks have attempted to build a network on POA. When you try to combine both those networks work and staking, it creates certain instabilities that we necessarily don't think is not necessary. One to have consensus mechanism to do what we're doing, because what we have currently implemented is working fine. What we did need was further decentralization of hash rate, and what we did need accessibility for mining of Avian, which we were able to achieve through CPU mining, not only CPU mining and GPU mining, two types of mining, which makes it a lot more accessible. But the next step would be in terms of making that even further more accessible. A lot of people say that having nodes could park their money into these nodes and sit back and collect passive income. That is something I feel like was a lot more common in the past. And yes, it is for a whale. It is a lot easier. It is a lot easier for a whale to purchase rather than purchasing equipment and having that sit aside and actively take part in the network, through GPU and CPU mining. But our goal from discussion is hoping to have different categories of nodes. This is an example. We have not talked about this specifically. This is an example. having like tier 1, 2, and 3 nodes, or silver, gold, or like bronze, silver, and gold nodes. We can even get creative and name them. But essentially, each of them would have different entry prices that make it more accessible for users. But again, then the other question I've heard when speaking about that is, when I park more money, do I make more money? And I've thought, and based on thinking about that, yes, it makes sense to incentivize people to park more money so they make a higher yield. But then again, if we are truly trying to build a fair system, personally, I think it would make sense to not offer significant bonuses in the higher tier nodes, but keep them relatively similar. Um, that way, you don't have a significant advantage um, based on how much money you have in the network, or based on the higher level tiers, or people having the ability to access those higher tier nodes. Having those smaller nodes would make, essentially, we've seen projects right now. What an example I can give is Gala nodes, for example. When they started off, they were a pretty small project, but right now, to purchase one of their nodes would cost you about 80 to 110,000 tokens, which would cost you exactly that much, 80 to $110,000 a node. Um, and that's kind of where the concern comes from: whales parking their money, and then the token going up and inflating in price. And then the thing with these nodes is the price usually does not change. Let's say, for example, this is not going to happen, this is an example. If these nodes costed, for say, 10,000 avian, and at current prices that node would be extremely affordable. But 5, 3, I don't know, 2 years down the line, the token is significantly higher. Um, Hypothetically speaking, at $1, then those nodes then cost you $10,000 to get into. So whoever came in early, well, they have their seat. The people who came in late, unfortunately, don't have that kind of capital to access that kind of investment. Um, and so that's kind of the concern that comes with whales and price appreciation of tokens, and nodes kind of staying the same price throughout history. Um, it would be the best. It would be, there was like, there's a reason why the node prices stay the same, and that's simply keeping the price, keeping the market known and kind of educated on what the price is. You can't keep fluctuating the price, and then you start messing with the value of the asset and whether people trust purchasing or not. Um, and so the nodes prices will always usually stay the same. It's simply on what mechanism we set in the beginning, that we need to set mechanisms up in the beginning, or set opportunities up in the beginning, that throughout like time, 2 to 5 years, will still give the same opportunities to the same people. And that's something we need to consider as well. And in terms of yields, I said we considered a 12-year and 24-year schedule. um, the 12-year schedule was a shorter schedule. That's the same amount of time it takes for our current avian coins to be mined using a CPU and GPU. If you did look at the white paper, currently about 50% of the emissions are coming through mining, hardware mining, CPU and GPU, and about 49 to 50% is set aside um, for other ways of emissions, that we hope to make those emissions a lot fairer or more accessible to other groups of people. And that's why we kind of in the subject of talking about nodes, and educating ourselves about nodes, so that when it does come to the time of making that decision, we can make that decision as a community. Um, I have not shared the spreadsheet with the 12 and 24-year emissions, but I will go over them briefly. These are not like true numbers, these are not facts. This is just running the numbers to see what's possible. Um, the reason we chose these two schedules, the 12-year and then the 24-year emission, is because 12-year is essentially what we have set up for schedules for the avian emissions. Um, Avian tokens at a 21 billion supply, about half of that is emitted in 12 years with constant halvings. There's a schedule for that on the white paper as well, if you guys want to check that out. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on Twitter, if you're watching this on Twitter, this clip will be, well, everywhere on every social media platform. So if you're watching this on Twitter, the white paper should be in the description. If you're watching this on Facebook, it should also be on the description. If you're on any other platform, it should be in the bio or description of this post. Let's go back to the yields. And in terms of the yields, I was saying, um, I would highly recommend you open up the white paper to open it up to what is it? Tokenomics 1, section B, page 17. That goes into talking about the 12-year missions and how we plan to let that go and also half it um, within a certain interval to kind of reduce that emission. So in terms of yields and nodes, I tested a 12-year emission to see if we were to kind of let the other half of the supply kind of go out into the community within the same period of time. So if we had 12 years emitting through hardware mining and then simultaneously 12 years of emitting through nodes, then this is what it would look like. We would initially start. I ran about 6 to 7 different yields. I tried reducing the yields every single year, just like how we have halvings for mining. We would have certain reductions in APY on staking. So the people who did join earlier would definitely have an advantage, and that's well technically the goal to bring new money into the project early on. Um, the 12-year emission schedule, I'm not a fan of. I will share more details on it when we start getting our blog up and running. Um, but in terms of schedules, the 24-year schedule makes a lot more sense because it gives the network a lot more time to grow and mature. But the other aspect of it is that with the 24-year schedule, the first 12 years of that schedule would align with proof of work hardware mining, and then you'd have another 12 years after that where you'd have significantly reduced APY, but it would still incentivize people to leave their money in the network even after proof of work mining. Um, and so that's kind of the idea behind that. Um, I will share the 12-year and 24-year schedules within the next couple of weeks. If I can write up a blog or write this specific what you're listening to right now into a blog, that would be extremely nice. Then we can kind of share the graphics of what I'm looking at on the screen right now of the 12-year and 24-year emission. The last thing I wanted to clarify on the 24-year emission um, is I tried a couple yields to see what would kind of suffice our budget because we have about 10 to 11 billion in avian that we need to emit through other mechanisms that we're kind of considering right now. Um, so I started considering certain different yields throughout the 24-year period to see if we can kind of if we have enough avian to kind of emit to the community. Out of running one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 different models, 7 different sub models within the 24-month model, there was a specific yield that made the most sense. Um, and that yield would start at 20% APY the first year. So at year one, it would start 20%, and every year following that, we would essentially decline by 15% in APY. So here's another example. If you made, let's say, this is an example, you made 100% APY the first year, you would make 85% APY the second year because every year you would have a 15% reduction in the APY. And that would, um, in 24 years, give us an average of about 5.77% in APY in 24. Um, It would start with 20% APY going down 15% every single year, year over year for 24 years. Well, I will correct that for 12 years. It goes reduces 15% year over year for 12 years. The last 12 years of that emission schedule would technically stabilize at 2% APY. So the first year you would have 20% APY, the 12th year you would have 3.35%. So for those first 12 years, you would go from 20% APY the first year to 3.35% the 12th year. And that happens because, again, you go down 15% year over year. Um, the last 12 years is where you would stabilize at a 2% APY, which I think is pretty reasonable because that outpaces every single bank in the country, or at least in the Western Hemisphere at the moment. Um, um, so it would kind of stabilize at 2% for the last 12 years, giving the last 12 years of emissions and giving the community a little bit more stability. Um, and of course, the hopes are in the first 12 years of these emissions, it gives 12 years to kind of create the ecosystem and onboard new partners and hop onto new exchanges. And then the last 12 years is for kind of stabilizing in the maximum growth and adoption of that network into the into IRL, I guess. Just give me 1 second here. I'll be right back. Yep, and so we have that 24-year emission. I'm gonna go over that again. I tried 12 years and 24 years. 12 years didn't make the most sense. 24 did make more sense because it kind of aligned with the 12-year emission schedule we have with proof of work. And it also gave us 12 more years to kind of stabilize the network and emit at a more stable APY. Um, what the models that did consider for the 24-year schedule, for the first 12 years of that 24 years, the yields would decrease from 20% down to 3.35% at year 12, and it would decrease by 15% year over year until it hit that 3.5%. The 13th year of that emission schedule, we'd stabilize at 2% APY for the rest of the 12 years of that schedule. That would give us stability and time to grow and adapt essentially and kind of expand the network into real world situations. Of course, the hope is we would do that before 12 years, but again, the last 12 years is kind of the stable period that kind of would hopefully bring in a lot more investment. And when we start to kind of outcompete the yields of traditional banks. And the reason these yields start at double digit percentages because I think that's extremely generous. And then the reason it stabilizes at single digit is because I think that's extremely sustainable. I've seen projects with double digit go on for double digit for significantly long periods of times. They can remain sustainable, but most of those projects have extremely high tax incentives or taxes built into the network, whether it's high fees or taxing NFT sales or gas on we've seen in other networks or taking a tax on sales. We've seen a lot of projects on Binance charge 10% tax on sales, and that 10% gets distributed to long-term holders and the network. Something we need to understand at the moment is that Avian does not take any commissions off of these fees or transactions that you are making. Um, Everything we have in our foundation wallet is mostly donations, and donations from miners or miners mining into our wallets or people just sending in money into our wallets. We do not have a pre-allocation when we started the project. We don't take commissions off of your trades. We don't have incentives to set up to fundraise now as that does keep the network cheaper to operate and more accessible to people, but that means the growth is has to be approached differently compared to other networks. And we have to get more creative with them and start to appreciate the stability that we hope to provide on the network. Single digit 2% long term might not seem the most attractive, but it is going to be by far the most stable and sustainable yield compared to most other projects out there. And that being said, we don't start at single digit. This schedule takes into account that we would start at 20%. Um, Year 2, 17%. Year 3, 14.45. Year 4, 12.28%. Year 5, 10.44%. And again, going down 15% year over year until it reaches that single digit percent where it's extremely sustainable. We take that risk with the double digit initially, where we emit a lot more coins, but that's simply to incentivize new holders and new investors to hop onto the network. We understand that people are looking for more accessible ways to hop onto the project. We understand that people hope that it remains inaccessible, and those are all factors that we need to consider when we do talk about nodes. The last thing I want to talk about is node types. Um, Initially, we started this talk talking about the difference between nodes and staking. I do want to clarify that I would love for all of you to go and clarify the difference between nodes and staking and educate yourself on how different types of nodes can benefit this network so you can bring that information to us and we can figure out what types of nodes would benefit this community in the long run. And the reason I say that is because in the last point that I'm going to talk about, we talk about that complexity. I talked to Haxford. Um, this was when we were working on the white paper. We talked about a couple things about nodes and figuring out if one, do we really need nodes? And two, if we do need nodes, what nodes do we need? And lastly, what's the best way to implement those nodes? Is that within the network or working with an external partner to implement those nodes? The first thing would be is what type of nodes? Um, well, the first thing would be is if we even need nodes, and the best way to do that would be to kind of test with the current nodes. Um, right now, if you go into the Avian wallet, you can set up a node on your wallet in less than 30 seconds. You do not make any Avian for setting up the wallet, and you need to have your wallet open to have the node running. Um, if everyone listening can share and get everyone in the community to run a node, then we can see the benefits that running a node can have to Avian. Does it speed up transactions? Does it speed up load times? Those are things that we need to test. And nodes aren't just nodes. There are dozens, hundreds of types of different nodes that we can implement, and they can offer different types of benefits to the network. But we need to identify what we need to address, like what are we looking to benefit, and to how we are going to benefit it, and what type of node we need to do that exactly. So it's not necessarily let's start up a node, it's necessarily what type of node do we start up and why. And then we kind of get to the yields aspect of it. I do talk about the types of nodes last because it's just a lot more complicated to figure that out. Um, but eventually, when it did come to nodes, we need to figure this out before we figure anything else out. Um, yeah, so what nodes, what type of nodes, and how does it benefit the network? And that's why I urge everyone listening to go and set up a node on the Avian wallet so that way we can kind of monitor and see exactly how it's benefiting us to run these nodes. We might notice that these nodes are benefiting us significantly, and we might want to find ways to reward people to run those nodes, and that's something that we are trying to find out. So that would be the first step, honestly, running these free nodes on our current wallets, because it doesn't take much time to set up, and all you have to do is leave your wallet up and running. That will give us some time to see how these nodes are benefiting our network. Second thing would be, after node types, is, well, do we need the nodes? One, and number two, what types of nodes do we need? And then the last thing we need to talk about is how do we implement it. If you guys have heard of, there are many node-based projects. They host their nodes on their own, but hosting nodes and running them and making sure they're maximizing the network efficiency is a whole task in its own. Um, we can have these nodes operating and people host them, make passive income from them, or we can partner up with a separate crypto project, company, business that is specialized in running nodes, knows exactly what types of nodes would benefit the network the best. We go reach out to them, we partner up with them, and essentially there would be many benefits to this. If we partner up with a project outside, that would bring their users onto our network, that would bring our users onto their network, that would give us social media marketing, that would give us marketing on their own website and existing user base. But most importantly, it would give us time to work on, well, NFTs and figuring out how we can build cross-chain NFTs and build this DEX or an NFT marketplace. So there are pros and cons to both. We can operate on our own and have full control as a community over this, or we can find projects that we would like to work with. Let's say StrongNode, who'd possibly be willing to um, run these nodes and find the users to run these nodes, and not only give them a reward in Avian, but maybe work out a deal to kind of give a bonus reward in their node of crypto, in their native cryptocurrency. Um, yeah, so there's a lot to consider there. I should have probably started with the node types and partners, but it is something we should consider. If you're willing to look into, have the time to look into Strong Node, they would be an interesting partner if we could get in contact with them in the long run. But again, the first step would be to run wallets on our own to see what benefit they provide to the network and to see if we need a different type of same type. Then we can go ahead and see if you do require partners or outside partnership. And then the last one would considering yield models to make sure it's sustainable long term. Yep, that's pretty much it for the nodes. I hope that answered a lot of the node questions. If you do have more node questions, leave them in the Discord. You can DM me on Discord, DM me on Twitter. You can do whatever you need to do to reach out to me so I can get your questions. We were going to take some time throughout this week to clip this specific segment into different clips and get them out on YouTube, Twitch, and other social media platforms. And hopefully, I was able to answer some of your node-based questions. Yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm gonna take a break.
I believe he refers to the LTC pair on some exchange, but he didn't mention.
He says keep it. All right, I'm gonna just echo exactly what Trav said. So because apparently they're not able to hear and stream. Um, someone on the stream said, please declare. Let me go back here and read this out so we can keep a record of this. Um, mm, mm, mm. What's good? What's good? Do I not see this here? All right, someone said you must keep the Litecoin pair. Please declare keep Litecoin pair. Why insist on it? Keep it. This will help Avian. This is wrong. You are trying to control it. It is wrong. Um, the response we had was initially we didn't understand if he was saying to keep or not keep. So we thought he was saying, um, we should declare that we're not keeping the pair. Um, that is not in our control. Like Trav said, we did reach out to Exbitron, and they seem hesitant to remove it. They have asked us for a reason as to why to remove the pair, and we have cited the wall that exists, the sell wall, and the fact that we can buy Avian for under a penny. And simply that the price has fallen significantly because we don't have that support that we had from Bitcoin before, that we can buy Avian under Satoshi right now. Um, that's just something I needed to echo. That is not in our control. We reached out to Exbitron, and that's the response they gave us. Um, and then following that, browser download. He says this is wrong. You're trying to control the project. That's because Trav said um, it is in our best intention to remove the Litecoin pair because it is devaluing not just the core team's holdings but the entire community's holdings. The entire market cap of Avian before that Bitcoin pair was taken off was, if I'm not mistaken, over $750,000. And that's the regular market cap. That is not diluted. That is just the regular. We're currently sitting roughly under 450 right now, and that all happened well as soon as that pair was dropped. Um, Trav said he's done the testing on his own. He personally sees that it would be beneficial to us and the network if that specific pair was removed. But some people in the community seem to think otherwise. We urge you to voice your opinions if you feel that way so that we don't push to remove the pair. But we have spoken in the community before, and it is somewhat, I would say it's clear, but we have heard more people say that they would like that pair taken off because it is devaluing their own holdings. I just wanted to clarify that. Right. He says it is wrong. Controlling the price is not right. Um, like I said, clarifying, we had nothing to hide. Um, the reason we're doing this not to specifically control the overall market or the price. I think that's the pair removal would simply be in the best interest of the entire community and the thousands of holders of Avian, and not just a few. So we're just trying to go back to where we were because where we were was better. And then if you feel otherwise, please voice your opinion. And we appreciate you doing so. If anyone else agrees with him, then please hop over to Discord and let us know. Any other questions? Taking a round of questions. We'll take this last 2 minutes for questions. We haven't seen anything pop on YouTube or Twitch yet. Uh, you said 14 million at one set and how many million at two? Gotcha. 1647. So that's 16 million Avian at one sat and 47.1 million at two sat. Good to know. I'll put down Twitter as well for everyone to watch and hear about the Litecoin pair, so we can discuss that further. Um, right. That's a big cell wall. Yes, that is. But walls that big did exist. Well, walls just create themselves. That's what the market does. But we had a wall, I'm guessing, when we had the Bitcoin pair up as well, and that was one of the reasons why the suggestion for the Litecoin pair did even come up in the first place. And now we're kind of dealing with a reversal problem almost. So the question is, do we go back or do we figure out where we are and move forward? Um, um, it's extremely likely that the Bitcoin pair solves the problem because that's what let loose in the beginning. Um, but it's not exactly possible to put an exact time on that. Like I said, we don't control the market. We're not trying to. We're just trying to put us in a position that would allow us and the community to benefit from the decisions we make. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions?
I'm glad to see Mad Electron in the chat. Hello, mate. For anybody that doesn't already know, Mad Electron is a dude on YouTube that does really nice videos about mining and stuff. You could get a better look at this channel. It's really cool.
Missed a few of the last AMAs. No worries on that. We're working on highlights for all the AMAs, so once the website is up and the AMA Foundry is up, that's gonna be one of our main pages. Trav and I are working on setting up the AMA Foundry, and he's working on writing highlights and making sure that information is accessible for you guys, for anyone who missed any of the past AMAs. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for it. It's almost like a time machine that's just gonna grow with time, and we're just gonna have a database of the past of Avian, so that's pretty cool. Um, need more pairs, not less. That's why we are fundraising for exchange listings. We are also working on getting merchandise out on our new website that we are working on, and hoping to raise up to $5,000 for new exchange listings. Anywhere between two to three new pairs on major exchanges. Most of them do include market making, which will help us get listed on CoinMarketCap. That helps with the momentum. Yeah, and they also usually include some kind of marketing or promotion on their website or social media platforms, which is a significant plus. So I do agree, we do need more pairs, and we are working on it. And the community has donated and stepped up, and we're hoping more will with time. It's all a process. Yeah. True. Right. And it's a clear distinction. Like you can understand why people trust Bitcoin more. I mean, the Satoshi, the denomination helps small cap projects um, sustain better prices and take like and not gonna trade at the significantly smaller denominations. There's also a lot more capital in Bitcoin compared to any other crypto in the entire world. 40% of the market, and it's a no-brainer to have a Bitcoin pair first. In terms of having access to liquidity and finding investors, Bitcoin first, Ethereum second. Um, and it's in the numbers. There isn't much more to say for that. I mean, Ethereum pair would be nice. Don't necessarily know how beneficial it would be in terms of gas, but the gas in Ethereum is significantly better now than it was a few months ago. Right, right. Last minute here, if anybody has any questions, we'd love to take them. We're watching Twitch, YouTube, and you can leave questions on Discord as well. Um, Someone asked for fundraising update that was given. Hashtag Olga replied that was answered. Is the AMA just on YouTube? No, it's on YouTube and Twitch. If you go onto our Twitter or simply just go onto your web browser and look up linktree.com/Avian Foundation. That will take you directly to all the links for all the social media platforms, including Explorers, White Paper, and much more. Um, is any news about Treasure? We already answered that one. I see no more questions here. We did hit 100 subscribers this morning, and we're currently sitting at 130 on YouTube right now, so pretty good here. Any other updates we got coming in? Not much. We have no more questions on Twitch, no more questions on YouTube, and nothing else on Discord. I think that's the end for the AMA then. Well, I mean, if any of y'all have questions, again, don't forget, you can always go on to linktree.com/Avian Network. That's LINK link TREE tree linktree.com/Avian Foundation. You get links to our white paper, our website, and all our social media platforms. If you're looking to watch the AMA, you can watch it on YouTube and Twitch every other Sunday, 6 p.m. UTC. We have highlights on our YouTube. That's where it's uploaded. So if you missed an AMA, you can watch the entire AMA on YouTube. We are working on an AMA Foundry where you'll be able to access all the past AMAs, and we'll post more updates about that, the development of the new website, and much more on Discord, Twitter, and other social platforms. So don't forget to follow us there. Just want to say thank you all for listening in. Thank you all for your questions, your engagement. I hope you all have a great day and an even better week. Yep.